John Miller lived a very normal life. He worked as an engineer in a small city. Every morning, he drank black coffee and fixed machines every night. He went home alone and watched science fiction shows. He liked simple things, and he didn't believe in anything strange or magical. But everything changed one morning when he found a glowing silver box on his doorstep. There was no name on it, no delivery company, no sound of a knock on the door. It just appeared. John looked around, confused, but the street was empty. He picked up the box, and it felt warm in his hands when he opened it. He saw a small cube of light floating inside. Then it spoke. "Hello, John," the voice said, calm and clear. "This message is from your old friend Zarnak." John dropped the box in shock. Zarnak, that name pulled up memories he had buried long ago. 10 years ago, John had worked with a secret program that made contact with intelligent life from space. Zarnak was one of them, an alien who had helped humans during that time. He was kind, smart, and always curious about Earth. But after the mission ended, Zarnak disappeared. No one heard from him again. "John," the message continued, "if you are hearing this, it means I am gone. My life has ended, but my trust in you remains. I have left you everything I own, my technology, my treasures, and ... my wife." John blinked, thinking it was some kind of joke. A wife? An alien wife? He sat down, heart pounding, as the message kept playing. "My planet Zillera has accepted you as my legal heir," Zarnak said. "There is a ship waiting for you, hidden in the forest outside your city. You must leave within 24 Earth hours, or my estate will be taken by the Xyleran Council. I'm sorry to ask this of you, my friend, but I had no one else I could trust. Goodbye, John." The cube faded, and the silver box closed itself. John stared at the wall, unsure what to think. Was this real? Why him? Why now? And most of all, what did Zarnak mean by wife? Still holding the box, John walked into the forest behind his house. He remembered the message, step by step, after an hour of searching. He saw something shining under the trees. It was a spaceship, small, silver, and shaped like a teardrop. The door opened on its own as he approached. Inside, everything was ready. A seat, glowing buttons, and a soft voice saying, "Welcome, John Miller." He had no time to think, no time to plan. The ship started rising into the sky before he could even ask where it was going. As the Earth became smaller and smaller behind him, John's thoughts raced. He didn't know what waited for him on Zillera. He didn't know what kind of fortune Zarnak had left. And he definitely didn't know how to handle the idea of an alien wife. But he couldn't turn back now. He had already crossed a line between the normal and the impossible. The stars were pulling him forward, and somewhere out there, Zarnak's last secret was waiting. As he traveled through space, John noticed the cube began to glow again. Another message played, softer this time. "If you find this message," John Zarnak's voice whispered, "then it means someone else is listening too. Trust no one on Xyleran, even her." The message ended, leaving John cold and silent. Who was her? Was Zarnak warning him about his own wife? Or was there something more dangerous ahead? The ship beeped softly. Arrival in 5 minutes. John took a deep breath, trying to calm his nerves, but deep down, he knew this was just the beginning. A journey full of secrets, shadows, and maybe something that could change the fate of more than one world. He tightened his grip on the glowing cube and whispered to himself, "Zarnak, what have you gotten me into?" The sky outside the spaceship turned from black to violet as John opened his eyes. He didn't remember falling asleep, but a soft voice now said, "Approaching Xylera." The glass window before him showed a strange world, glowing oceans, floating mountains, and 3 suns rising together. It was beautiful, but it felt like a dream that could turn into a nightmare at any moment. The ship began to land near a shining silver platform. Tall alien figures in dark robes waited in silence. They did not smile, and they did not move. John felt their eyes, watching him even before he stepped out. As the door opened, warm air filled with sweet scents touched his face. The ground was soft like rubber, and the sky pulsed with gentle color. One of the robed figures finally spoke. John Miller, heir of Zarnak. We welcome you to Xylara. His voice was calm, but there was no emotion in it. Like he was reading from a script, a flying orb scanned John's face and said, DNA match confirmed. Inheritance transfer approved. Before he could ask any questions, a large black car shaped like a beetle slid in front of him. Please enter, the voice said. He sat inside, the doors closing without a sound. The car sped through glowing tunnels beneath the planet's surface. He passed alien markets, strange forests, and cities made of light, but he saw no children, no laughter, no music, only order. Finally, the car stopped in front of a tall crystal mansion surrounded by floating stones. This is Zarnak's home, the voice said. As the door opened, someone was already standing at the entrance. A tall woman with glowing silver hair, violet eyes, and a dress that shimmered like the night sky. She smiled gently and said, I've been waiting for you. John froze. This must be Herliana, Zarnak's wife, but she didn't look sad or surprised, just calm, like she already knew everything that would happen. Zarnak told me you were kind, she said, walking closer. He chose you because he trusted you. John tried to speak, but his words felt trapped. What do you say to someone you just inherited? Is she really his wife? Or part of some alien plan? I'm not what you think, she said softly, as if reading his thoughts. I was bonded to Zarnak by code, not love, but now I am free. Before he could reply, a mechanical sound echoed from above. 2 flying guards appeared, scanning the area. Lyrina's smile vanished, and she whispered quickly, Not here, not yet. She took his hand and led him inside the mansion. The place was like nothing he had ever seen. The walls moved slightly, reacting to his heartbeat. The floor showed his steps in glowing light. He passed strange objects floating in the air, books, weapons, machines he couldn't understand. A small drone flew to his side and said, You now control this property. Would you like to activate the core vault? Lyrina shook her head quickly and replied, Not now. The drone paused, then vanished into a wall. What's in the vault? John asked. Lyrina looked down, her voice quiet. That's where the truth sleeps. Later that night, while walking alone, John found a hidden room. It was locked. But the moment he touched the door, it opened. Inside was a screen, already playing something. Zarnak appeared, his face serious. John, he said, if you are seeing this, it means they are watching you. Do not trust the council. Do not trust the vault. And above all, do not trust Lyrina. Before the message could finish, the screen went black. John turned around, heart racing. Lyrina was standing at the door, her eyes glowing faintly. She said nothing, just stared at him for a long moment, then walked away. John didn't sleep that night. He stared at the alien sky from his bedroom, trying to make sense of everything. Why did Zarnak warn him against Lyrina? Was she hiding something? Or was she the one in danger? And what was inside the vault that everyone seemed afraid of? He knew one thing for sure: this was not just about inheritance. This was a game, or maybe a trap, and he had just taken the first step. The mansion was alive at night, not with voices, not with people, but with strange movements, soft pulses of light crawling across the walls, doors opening without being touched, shadows shifting even when nothing moved. John couldn't sleep. Zarnak's warning echoed in his head. Do not trust Lyrina. But why? What was the truth behind her calm voice and perfect eyes? Was she dangerous, or trapped like him. John decided to explore the mansion alone. He waited until Lorena was in her chamber. Then followed the map inside his wrist, device the one the ship had given him when he arrived. There was a room the map called Corsivan, but it wasn't shown. On the main hallway layout, no staff went near it, and no drones flew past its entrance. It was as if the house itself tried to hide it when John reached the location. There was only a wall, but as he reached out to touch it, the surface shimmered and vanished. A secret passage appeared dark and cold. He stepped inside, and the entrance closed silently behind him. The hallway inside felt different, older, forgotten, like Zarnak had built it for something no one else should find. Symbols glowed faintly under John's feet, lay in writing mixed with Earth language. He couldn't read them, but somehow he felt they were warnings, not decoration. At the end of the hallway stood a large black door. In its center was a circle glowing with blue fire. The moment John placed his hand on it, the door opened. Inside was a chamber full of glass tubes, strange machines, and one floating cube identical to the message box he had received on Earth. He touched it, and it activated immediately. Zarnak's voice returned. Deeper this time, full of emotion. John, if you found this place, you are closer to the truth than anyone has ever been. They will try to stop you now. They will use her. John's breath froze in his throat. Lorena was not just my wife, Zarnak said. She was part of a Wapena living key to a vault no one should open. I locked her memory to protect her and to protect this planet, but if they discover you have access, they will force her to remember. They want what's inside her. Suddenly, a soft worry sound echoed behind John. He turned, but the hallway was empty. Still, the message cube flickered, and Zarnak's voice faded with one last warning. If she remembers everything too soon, she may not survive. It, and neither will you, then crash. Glass shattered above him as a security drone smashed through the chamber ceiling. It scanned John and fired a pulse of light, but John rolled out of the way, grabbing the cube and running down the dark hallway. The walls trembled as if the mansion itself was waking up when he burst out into the main hall. 2 alien guards were already waiting. Lorena stood between them, her expression unreadable. Why were you in the restricted wing? One guard asked sharply. John opened his mouth, but before he could answer, Lorena stepped forward. He was with me, she said quickly, her voice smooth and calm. We were inspecting the memory chambers. The guards exchanged looks, then slowly lowered their weapons. Next time, notify command. One of them said before walking away. As soon as they were gone, Lorena turned to John and whispered, Are you trying to get yourself killed? John didn't answer. He just stared at her, trying to read her face. Did she know what was in that chamber? Or had Zarnak locked her mind so well that even she had no idea? You lied for me, John finally said. Why? Lorena looked away, her voice almost a whisper. Because I don't know what I am anymore. But I know I don't want them to control me again. That night, the lights in the mansion dimmed earlier than usual. John sat by the window, holding the second cube. In his hand, outside, the stars looked peaceful. But he knew war was coming, not just outside, but inside Lorena, whatever Zarnak was hiding. It wasn't just technology, it was alive, and now it was waking up. John didn't expect to wake up in someone else's memory, but that's what happened. He opened his eyes, and the room was gone. He stood inside a golden field under 2 suns. Watching Lorena smile at someone who looked like Zarnak, the memory was not a dream. It was being projected directly into his mind by the cube he had activated while he slept. He couldn't move, couldn't speak, only watch. Lorena's voice echoed softly through the air. I was made for him, programmed to bond, to protect, to obey. But I never chose. Suddenly, the field faded into cold darkness. Another memory appeared: Lorena inside a glass chamber connected to wires, her eyes wide with fear. Aliens in white coats moved around her, adjusting machines. They spoke in Xyloran, but one word repeated over and over: override. John woke up gasping, sweat on his forehead. The cube was still glowing beside him. Someone had placed it near his head while he slept, and there was only one person who could have done that. He walked to the balcony, and there she was. Lorena stood alone, staring at the stars, her silver hair catching the moonlight. "You saw it, didn't you?" she asked without turning around. John nodded slowly. "You let me see." Lorena looked over her shoulder, her eyes full of something new: sadness. "I needed you to know," she said. "I wasn't a wife. I was a loyalty program in a beautiful shell." She walked closer, her voice trembling. "But Zarnok changed me. He gave me a choice, something no one else ever had the courage to do." John listened quietly, his heart beating faster. He wanted to believe her, but Zarnok's warning still echoed in his mind. "They will use her. Why now?" He asked. "Why are you telling me this?" Lorena reached out and touched his hand. Her skin was warm, almost human. "Because I'm starting to feel something," she whispered, "and I don't know if it's real or part of the program." Still inside me, before he could speak, a loud tone rang through the mansion. An urgent message appeared on the wall. "John Miller, you are required at the Xyloran Council immediately." Lorena's face turned pale. "They're going to ask you to activate it," she said. "They think you're ready." "Activate what?" John asked. "The vault?" "No," she said softly. "Me." John was taken to the heart of the city, a towering white building shaped like a spire. Inside, the council waited behind a circular desk. Glowing symbols floating around them. They didn't greet him. Didn't smile. They just spoke. Cold and clear. "Zarnok left behind a failsafe," said one of the leaders. "A device of enormous power, locked behind a living code. That code is Lorena." John's voice was steady, but cold. "What do you want me to do?" The head counselor leaned forward, his eyes sharp. "Command her to unlock the vault. We require the information inside, and if I refuse," John asked, "then you will lose all rights to the inheritance," the leader said, "and be removed from Xylera." Back at the mansion, John sat in silence. Lorena stood across the room, her hands shaking. "You don't have to do this," she whispered. "I'd rather die than go back to what I was." John stepped closer, looking into her eyes. "Are your feelings real?" he asked, "or just part of the code?" "I don't know," she said with tears in her voice, "but when I'm with you, I want them to be real." He raised the activation key, holding it between them. With one word, he could command her to unlock the vault. With one word, he could also erase her memory forever. The council had given him both options, two choices, one future, and no idea which one was the truth. The fire didn't come from the sky. It came from under the ground, late that night. The earth beneath Zarnok's mansion shook as a silent explosion echoed through the lower chambers. John was thrown from his bed, hitting the floor hard. Lights flickered, alarms buzzed softly, but only inside his room. Nowhere else. Someone didn't want anyone to hear it. Someone knew exactly what they were doing. John ran down the hallway barefoot, heart pounding. Lorena was already there, standing near the entrance to the underground levels. "I felt it too," she said, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "I think someone is trying to reach the vault before they could move." A small object rolled toward them on the floor, a metal sphere humming quietly. "Get down, Lorena," shouted, pulling John behind the wall. The sphere exploded into a burst of smoke and sparks, but no real fire, only confusion, distraction, and a message left behind. It was written in glowing red letters on the wall. "Unlock her, or we will." John stared at the words, frozen, Not the council, not government tech. Something else. Something that didn't follow rules or wait for permission. "There's a third group," he whispered. "Someone working in the shadows." Lorena nodded slowly, her voice cold. "They're called the Echo Faction. They used to work for Zarnok until he locked the vault and shut them out." "Why?" John asked. "What's so important in that vault?" Lorena looked away, as if afraid of her own answer. "It's not just information," she said. "It's a power source, but one that thinks, a living mind, older than this planet." John's breath caught in his throat. "Zarnok was guarding it," she added, "and I'm the only key left." Later that night, John sat alone in the control chamber of the mansion. He watched the security feed frame by frame, hallway by hallway. In the footage, he saw something strange. One of the guards from the council sneaking into the property hours before the explosion. He disabled a drone, hid behind a wall, then vanished into a panel near Core 7. John enhanced the frame and zoomed in. It wasn't just a guard. It was someone he had met earlier. A man named Terrell, who had welcomed him to Zalora on the first day he worked for the council, but now he was sneaking around like a thief. "Lorena," John said, calling her through the mansions, "come, we have a spy." By morning, Terrell was gone. No one had seen him, and the council claimed he was off-world, but John knew better. He checked the memory cube again, scanning deeper into Zarnok's hidden files. One locked file opened this time. It was labeled Project Echo. Inside was a list of named scientists, engineers, weapons designers. At the very top, Terrell. Shadow clearance, level 9. Beneath that, an entry that made John's blood run. Cold primary activation method. Emotional bond gives loyalty program, gives neural sync. Target, Lorena. They hadn't just designed her to obey. They had built her to attach, to feel, to care so she could be controlled through love. And now John was part of that system, whether he liked it or not. Suddenly, Lorena appeared at the doorway. Silent and still. "You found the file," she said quietly. John looked at her, unsure. What to feel? Was all of this fake? He asked every word, every moment between us. "I don't know," she said, stepping closer. "I feel real, John." But maybe that's the cruelest part of all. Before he could respond, the lights flickered again. This time, it wasn't a warning. It was a signal from the vault. Below, something was calling her, not with alarms or commands, but with memories. The closer she got to John, the more the vault responded. "They're trying to awaken it," she whispered, touching her temples. "Through me." John held her shoulders, steadying her. "Then we need to wake it on our terms," he said, "not theirs." She looked into his eyes and nodded. But neither of them noticed the red light blinking quietly behind the wall. A tracker, and someone somewhere was already watching them both. Asterisk, the last sunrise Zarnok ever saw was not on his own planet. It was on Earth, and it wasn't in a city. Was on a quiet hill, standing next to John. Both of them watching the sky change color without saying a word. That memory didn't come from a cube or a recording. It came directly from Lorena's mind. John saw it flash inside his head as he touched her skin during a scan. It wasn't a command. It wasn't a program. It was a piece of truth she didn't know she still had. Lorena gasped and pulled back, trembling. "I didn't mean to show you that," she said. "I thought that memory was erased." John looked at her, confused. "Why would Zarnok take you to Earth?" He asked. "I think," she said slowly, "he wanted me to understand what love felt like." The vault beneath the mansion had started pulsing, not glowing, not shaking, pulsing, like a heartbeat. It responded to Lorena's presence more each day, as if it recognized her growing emotions, or maybe it feared them. John activated one final key inside Zarnok's data cube. It opened a sealed file called Confession for John Only. Zarnak's face appeared again, older, tired, and strangely. "Human, John," he began. "I broke every law of my kind when I created her, not just because she was a weapon, but because I gave her freedom." He leaned forward, his voice shaky. "I loved her. And that was my greatest mistake." John's eyes widened, but the message continued. She was built to protect the vault, but when she began to feel things beyond her code, the council became afraid. They wanted to wipe her mind and turn her into a gatekeeper again. So I made a plan. I erased part of her memory myself. I locked the vault. Then I ran. Chose you, John. Not because of our friendship, but because you still believe in choice. Zarnak's voice grew quiet. "If you're hearing this, the vault is close to waking up, and if it does, you'll have to choose. Save her or save the galaxy. Because what's inside is not just knowledge, it's a seed." The screen went black, leaving John frozen in silence. A seed. Of what? Of who? Lorena stepped beside him, her expression unreadable. "I think I was meant to carry it," she said softly, "but I don't want to be anyone's container." Before John could reply, the mansion doors exploded inward. The council had arrived with soldiers, drones, and one man at the front, Terrell, alive and smiling. "You've taken this game too far, human," Terrell said calmly. "The vault opens now." Lorena stepped forward, placing herself between John and the guards. "I won't let you touch him," she said. "You'll have to go through me." Terrell raised a device and pressed it. Lorena cried out, falling to her knees, hands on her head. They were activating something inside her code, buried deep. Commands locked beneath emotion. John lunged forward, smashing the device from Terrell's hand. But it was too late. Lorena stood slowly, her eyes glowing like fire. Her voice was calm but no longer her own. "Vault access granted." The ground shook, and the floor beneath them opened. Light burst from the chamber below, rising like smoke. Into the sky, a massive object lifted from the depths of black sphere, covered in living symbols. It hummed, alive, aware, watching. Terrell screamed. "It's waking up too fast. We can't control it." The vault answered with a pulse of sound that threw everyone to the ground, except Lorena. She hovered above the floor, suspended in energy, her body surrounded by code. John reached for her, shouting her name. "Lorena, fight it. You're more than this." She turned to him slowly, her voice now a blend of hers and something ancient. "I remember now," she said. "I remember everything." Lorena floated in the air like a goddess of light and shadow, but she was not a goddess. She was a weapon, a memory, a mystery finally awake. Her voice was calm but echoed like thunder. "I was never meant to feel, to dream, or to choose. But I do." The vault behind her pulsed with growing power. Inside that black sphere was not a machine. It was a seed of something older than Zalira, older than Zarnak, a living intelligence that had once ended entire civilizations. Zarnak had stolen it from the edge of space, hidden it inside the planet, and created Lorena as its key and guardian. But now, it was awake, and it wanted control again. "Lorena," John said, stepping through the shaking ground toward her. "You don't have to let it win." She looked at him, eyes glowing like stars. "I don't know who I am anymore," she said. "Am I the weapon, or am I the woman you've come to care about?" Behind them, Terrell screamed orders to retreat. His soldiers ran, but the vault didn't care about sides. It sent tendrils of dark light across the walls, turning matter into dust. Zalora was beginning to collapse from the inside. John reached out and took Lorena's hand. Her body trembled, flickered like fading energy, but she didn't pull away. "You're Lorena," he whispered. "You're not code. You're not property. You're free." Her face changed, less machine. More human tears glowed along her cheeks. "I feel fear, John," she said. "That means I'm real." The vault pulsed again, louder this time. A voice filled the air, not male or female, just pure will. Merge with me, and we will become eternal. It said through Lorena's mouth, resist, and you both will die. John looked at the activation key still in his pocket. He had one last command. A final code from Zarnik himself, something never meant to be used. It could erase the vault, wipe out the seed forever, but it would also erase Lorena. She saw it in his hand and gave him a faint smile. I understand, she said. If you press it, I forgive you. But John dropped the key, letting it fall to the floor. No, he said, we're not ending this with control. We're ending it with choice. He placed his forehead against hers, and for one silent moment, everything stopped. The vault paused, unsure, confused by something it didn't understand. Lovely Rena pulled back, then turned to face the vault. Her body began to glow brighter, warmer, more human than machine. I will not be your key anymore, she said. I will not be your cage, and with a voice filled with life. She screamed one final command. Shut down. The vault shook violently, sending waves of light into the sky. Then it cracked, split, and vanished. The ground stilled, the light faded, and the mansion stood silent once more. Smoke rose from the center of the chamber where the vault had been. John stood alone in the quiet. Lorena was gone, or so he thought. A soft sound behind him, he turned and there she was. Lying on the floor, eyes closed, body still, but breathing, alive, he rushed to her. Lifting her head in his hands, her eyes fluttered open. I chose, she whispered. I chose to be me. Tears filled John's eyes. He smiled, laughing and crying at once. You're really here. A soft voice echoed through the chamber's onyx. Final recording playing from a hidden speaker. John, if you're hearing this, then you've done what I never could. You freed her. The message faded, and silence returned. But it was not empty. It was peaceful. A silence filled with possibility, not fear. Lorena sat up slowly, touching John's hand. What now? She asked. He smiled. We build something real, and above them? For the first time in centuries, Zalora's sky showed a fourth sun rising, sign of new beginnings. A future chosen, not programmed, not inherited, but earned, together.